Oh, I meant to look up before I did it if the word for part in French is part. Because a lot of the words are literally the same word.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's Search Gang the Tour, part 17. I'm speaking French because I'm speaking to you from Paris, France, and connecting to my partner through the power of the internet. As always, I'm your host, Frank Rodriguez. With me is my co-host, DJ Drinkman. He's the senior striking analyst for Search Gang. He's a black belt in the Chris Latrell fighting system. How are you, Taro?
Oh, I'm great, man. I just had a nice little lunch, and I'm sipping on some bean juice. I'm fucking ready to go, dude.
Cool. And this week we're talking about Trouble and Mike Will's Edgewood. I was reading the reviews and stuff, and I don't know. I remember Bussin' like when it came out. Like that was a highlight of that year for me. And then he kind of disappeared. So it's interesting to see him come out here
on his debut album. Right?
Yeah, and like on a big stage, like with Mike Will. I mean, they've probably known each other for a while, but kind of a weird comeback situation. Yeah, because Bussin'. Were you aware of that song when it came out?
I remember seeing it on various blogs that I used to follow back then, but I wasn't as open, I guess, to pursuing lesser known acts at the time. But I remember seeing it, and which I think, and it didn't lead to much follow up on my end. But once Edgewood dropped, it was like kind of by surprise, and I didn't realize it was on such a big stage until I heard the Drake feature while I was listening to the record the morning it released, and yeah, so it's just really interesting considering that Bussin' was out in 2011.
Yeah,
or 2012.
Yeah, 7 years ago. Yeah, I remember. I really liked it. It was kind of intricately woven with the video. I think like the audio and the visual. And I just kind of remember I thought of him as kind of like Waka with like a stick up his ass, like very tense. But
that's a good way to describe it.
Yeah, but that song was great, and I remember having his tape Greenlight in my music collection, but like never getting more than like 5 songs through it. And then totally dropped off like my radar, and I think a lot of people's. And I was listening to a lot of his tapes, and they're most of his output between Bussin', or maybe I wouldn't say Bussin', maybe I would say between Greenlight and Now, because I think Greenlight was the second tape. So I would say a lot of his output was kind of boring.
Yeah, and I didn't really look into a lot of that outside of revisiting Bussin', but he had released quite a few mixtapes.
Yeah, he's been active. Yeah, the Pitchfork review was really funny because it was basically only comparing Edgewood to Bussin'. It was like nothing that happened in between it matters at all. If you want to explore any of the stuff from the past few years, I thought the best one was Scoob Fresh, which was a tape. It was a collaboration with Smooth Fresh, I think. I can't read the cover now, but it was like a collab with one producer, sort of like this one. Scoob is like an alternate name for Trouble. So 2011, he was with Duct Tape Entertainment, which was like an alternate crew in Atlanta. They had Ali Boy was the biggest person on there, and I really liked Ali Boy actually, but kind of the same. I had a few tapes that I downloaded because I wanted to listen to him, but then I never got super into it. He had this one song that I really liked. That's about it's basically about getting pulled over by racist cops, I think. Now he's associated with Mike Will, and his record label Eardrummer,
Eardrummer. Yeah.
Eardrummer, and really interesting. But he's still loyal to DTE, I think, because at the end of the Drake verse, Drake says like, oh, he says like Mike Will, baby, like Big Trouble, baby, and then I think Trouble whispers DTE to let you know that like he's still DTE even though he's signed to Eardrummer and he has his major label debut now on Interscope. So yeah, this is kind of interesting in that like it's kind of like a basketball team that's like a playoff caliber team picking up some guy who scored 8 points a game his rookie year and then kind of like disappeared. Like that's kind of like
just rode the bench. He like rode the bench for a little bit.
Yeah, he maybe he went around to different teams, never stuck around. Maybe he was out of the league for a year or two, and then
now he's on the Golden State Warriors or something like that.
Yeah. Now he's on the Golden State Warriors, and then they're like, you know what? I think we can make it work on this team we're going to surround him with really great talent, which is what Mike Will does. I think principally he's thinking of himself, and then he's also thinking of Quavo and Weeknd and Drake. Maybe Fetty
it all works really well, honestly. I mean, I was a little surprised about how like solid the project overall was. And it was, and outside of the features, I mean, I haven't seen it getting a lot of attention either. Are you seeing differently?
No, I haven't seen it like. I haven't seen a lot of buzz for it, but two of the tracks did get on Rap Caviar. The Drake and the Weeknd.
Expectedly,
yeah, but I mean that's interesting because like that's probably not happened with his like last 3 independent mixtapes.
Yeah, I mean, and we were discussing that weird like difference between those two tracks, and I mean, I guess it's to be expected because Rap Caviar has a shit ton of listeners.
Oh, right. The difference. Yeah. Those are 4 million for the Weeknd track and like 17 million for the Drake track. And then the other ones
like run around the 300. Yeah. 400,000.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, still relatively good, right? But
yeah, but
in comparison to 17 million plays.
I mean, and part of that is part of that is just the features. Like they would probably be the most high ranked ones, and then probably that's multiplied by also being on Rap Caviar and the other ones not being, which I mean I think you could have put, I mean I
could have put Ryder on there probably.
Yeah, you could have
Quavo and Fetty
the Quavo one. Yeah. I was gonna say you could put some of the solo stuff on there too.
Yeah, because just to go back to my previous debate, I mean, it's overall like a pretty damn good like record. I mean, you could put any of these songs on there, and I feel like they'd fare rather well. Like Keisha Dem. Oh, I love that song.
That's that's definitely one of the standouts that I see people talking about.
I mean, it would be a nice contrast to like, what's the song that 21 Savage has off the tape with Offset? It has Ric Flair drip. Yeah, it would be a nice like it would be a nice change of pace because I think a lot of those songs on Rap Caviar are like relatively old, and by old I mean like 6 months, 5-6 months old. Right.
I was going. Oh, that was going to be my point. Like I don't think they want to change of pace. Like it seems like they have their thing. I was just looking at. I only saw that Trouble was on Rap Caviar because I was just looking at Rap Caviar to see what was on there. And it's like fuck, like any old shit that like any old shit that the big stars put out gets on here. So like, what's the point of even? What's the point of it? Like.
Yeah, because I haven't seen like and back I mean like even as like recent as like a year and a half ago, I mean I would like go to Rap Caviar to see if anything like if there was anything good on it, and I think at the time I might have actually been responsible for like introducing me to a few things, but it seems since I mean now it's just an outlet for major label artists to debut whatever singles they feel need to be heard by the, was it like 9 million or so regular listeners? Or is it more than that? It's got to be pretty fucking big.
Yeah, it says 9,300,000 followers. But yeah, it's just a bunch of Drake and a bunch of
Rich. It's super predictable.
But yeah. So I like this tape too. Yeah, speaking of like so some interesting background details on this too is that Trouble got out of prison in January. He was there for 2 months for drug possession, I think. And then it was announced that he was signed, or at least Mike Will tweeted it. I didn't look into it that deeply, but Mike Will tweeted that he was signed to Eardrummer in March. Then this came out in April.
No, this came out like on March 22nd, so it's still...
Oh, okay. Oh, right. Yeah, I forgot that we're like...
But I guess that kind of leads into some of the backstory as well, yeah.
Yeah, and then apparently it was just, they made it in 3 or 4 days. Yeah, and I kind of like the story that's baked into here where this is the first album I've heard with like interesting skits in a long time.
Yeah, I don't skip them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't skip them either. I kind of like the breaks and the the atmosphere that they provide. But yeah, the first skit, which is the second track with Low Down Dirty Black, I really like that one. The Thug's Prayer. It's like I live by 3 rules. I really need this to work. It's so great. Then you have the other one that's a phone call with a woman. I like that one because he starts. He's mumbling.
Is that
like
the day before? Is that
yeah, I think that's it. He's mumbling the chorus to "Real Is Rare," the first track. Mm-hmm. And he picks up this call and talks to the woman. And then he texts someone. He hangs up on her and then he texts someone. I don't know who that is. I don't know if we're supposed to think that's like another woman or if it's like Mike Will or someone.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the Mike Will stuff throughout where Mike Will's like, "Trouble, call me.
I'm in the O.
Pull up on me," which is really cool. That kind of reminds me of like, because I feel like because Trouble's been out of the spotlight, it kind of reminds me of like movies where people try to recruit like action heroes past their prime, and they're all like, "I'm retired." And they're like, "No, Pete, but I need you. I think I have a special project for you." It's like, "No, I don't do that." But like, it's like that. He's like trying to get Trouble to come join his team. Your drummer needs you, Trouble.
Yeah. Assemble, and then they're gonna have the battle scene, and here comes Trouble to save the day. I mean, it's not like he wasn't totally inactive, though.
No, yeah, but he wasn't, yeah, but but
okay?
Yeah, all sorry, right. I don't.
Baguette, gotcha, dude.
I've been sick, so I got back here and I got sick. Well, I got sick on Sunday because I was staying in a hostel and like the window was open and I was like right by it.
No, that'll do it.
So like I got to Paris. So I got here and then also my my shower stopped. Well, there's a leak in the bathroom and when they came to fix it, they were just like, "Oh, we got to take out the shower." So like I haven't showered in like 3 days.
That's disgusting.
Yeah.
But I mean, is that local thing? Is that a local thing? I don't mean to be like cruel or make any, assumptions about French people, but I feel like,
I haven't encountered any sticky French people.
Oh, wow.
Though I hardly have any like non-commercial interactions.
But to get back to the record though, what's your favorite track on the whole thing?
I was saying before we started recording that I feel like "Come Through" is like one of the best Trouble performances. Mm-hmm. And actually I kind of like that song if you take off the Weeknd stuff at the end, because the amount that he's in the chorus is like the perfect amount, and then it's like, it's and it actually fits with like what Trouble is doing, and then at the end it's like, all right, now I'm just gonna do like Weeknd singing like Gonna do some runs.
Just like vocalizations throughout the track, which is totally fine with me. And I know on our Black Panther episode, I went on about how I was sick and tired of The Weeknd, but I think just the little appearances here and there, and just like kind of like a backing track on the chorus is like the perfect amount of Weeknd for me.
Yeah. So I like that, and what else? Maybe I think like Real is Rare is good. And Keisha Dem. What about you?
Let me see here. So I think overall, like the standouts to me, I think Keisha Dem is probably becoming my favorite. It's just that the hook is like super, super catchy. I really like it. And let me see here. Actually, yeah, My Boy is really good. And Come Through with The Weeknd is really good. And I actually didn't mind Rider, the Fetty Wap and Quavo track. At first it seemed like the Quavo hook was a little out of place, but I think like Fetty Wap complimenting it later on in the song and kind of helps, let it settle a little bit. And actually, while I was listening to this track, I just couldn't, like the first time I heard it, I thought to myself, like, God damn it, I'm sick of Quavo singing hooks,
Mm-hmm.
And then as I started like listening to the album more, so that we're in preparation to discuss it, I asked myself, is there going to be any point in time where like I'm going to miss Quavo singing hooks, like is there going to be a point where I'm just like, God damn it, I wish Quavo was singing this hook.
Maybe in a few years you'll get nostalgic, but I felt the same way as you did at first, but I didn't change my mind. Like I feel like Quavo has turned himself into Muzak. Like he's just omnipresent and kind of uniform. I mean, even on like within Migos songs, people like point out like all the self plagiarism that happens.
Yeah, totally.
So like to like hear him like on so much, but it's interesting though. Like DJ Booth did a review, and the author, I forgot his name, Matt, he made a good point that like it's an experiment. Like if you're gonna do a major label debut, the big debut for Eardrummer, for Interscope, like put Quavo on there and see what happens. Put Drake on there, and to me they're failed experiments, but you can learn from it. Like I don't mind it at all. Like,
well, I wouldn't exactly call the Quavo track a failed experiment, but I don't like that track, I would definitely call the Drake feature a failed experiment. Yeah, it's just like his placement on that beat and his performance overall is just does not fit in. It kind of reminds me of his remix of the Neptunes track. Was it Lemonade? Is that the song he got on the Rihanna Neptunes track? Yeah, like where he just seems like completely lost and like can't really adapt to the track itself and kind of place himself in that track in a way that doesn't seem totally awkward.
Yeah, this one he was just like, this is a Mike Will and Trouble song. Trouble's from the Edge, I'm from the Six. I forgot what else he said, but yeah. Yeah, but going back to the other songs, yeah, My Boy was one of my favorite. I didn't really like Trouble on that much, but that beat was really cool.
Yeah, and that can be said. I mean, not to say that it's insinuate that Trouble doesn't perform well on all of these tracks, but the Mike Will Made It production like really helps this album. Like, yeah, I feel like it just really complements Trouble like very very well.
Well, yeah, I think it complements like I feel like so yeah. When we talked about the Gucci book, we talked about how like involved Mike Will is as a producer versus other people. I think Gucci might have talked about it like in comparison to Zaytoven, maybe, which is interesting.
Yeah, that like Mike Will's like he likes to coordinate things a lot more, and like everything's like more on a schedule than anybody else he had worked with prior.
And he also tell people like, oh, you need to do it like this, and like make the chorus for them. And actually, Zaytoven's the only person on here who has his own track. Everything here is like at least co-produced by Mike Will. except for the Zaytoven and Boozy song.
The Boozy badass track.
Zay Trouble, as Boozy called it. Oh yeah, so Mike Will, yeah. And also listening to Trouble's other stuff, and his early stuff. Yeah, you kind of get the sense of what maybe Mike Will and Trouble's vision for like what he should sound like now is. Which is yeah. Which I don't think he can. Go ahead.
Oh, well, I was just going to ask, because you dug into a little bit more of his older material. Has Trouble worked with any other notable producers in the past outside of maybe? I'm sure he's worked with Zaytoven in the past, but has he worked with anybody else?
Yeah, he has a whole Zaytoven. He has a whole Zaytoven tape, and early on he worked with. There were a bunch of Lex Luger beats. Which made me very nostalgic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially like Greenlight has, I think his first 2 tapes have features. But I'm not sure who else specifically he's worked with actually. I know he did that tape with Zaytoven just because it's named like Zay. What's it called? Zay. It's called Zay Did It. And then I know I was listening to the other ones, and I just know Lex Luger's Drop, and then the Scoop Fresh tape, which I really like actually.
Yeah, I'll have to check that one out. The track you sent me with 21 Savage was interesting. It was enjoyable. It wasn't like what 21 Savage is now.
That's why I sent it to you. I don't which is with 21 Savage. Yeah, I just thought it was notable just because of how 21 sounded. Because I definitely hadn't heard of him in 2015.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Me neither.
Yeah, but yeah, what? Like there's some parts here where I'm like, oh okay, like that, like he does kind of like more pop rap for like 2 bars, and I'm like, oh yeah. Cool. But then the rest of it is just like, like somewhere on this album he says like fuck rap, talk my life on beats. I feel like that's a lot of what this is. Which is cool. Like, I liked it, especially for the first half of the album. It's kind of like, I don't know, like super casual pop rap.
And that's kind of what I like relayed to some of my friends, because I had mentioned it to a few people while I was listening to it in preparation to record today. And not a lot of people had heard the album, and they kind of asked me like, is it worth checking out? Like, what is it like? And I said, well, it's like a good rap album, like it's not like crazy standout but it's not like anything that's currently like popping, it's there are no bounce influences like recent Drake out records, or it's not like it's not what's popular, I suppose. I guess it's just there, and but what it does very, very well. I think it's just like it's refreshing, kind of like how we were talking about Valet or Greedo. It's like just kind of a nice break from what's big right now.
Yeah, I would say that too. It's interesting. Like I feel like he maybe even still hasn't found his voice. He does this. Did you notice he does this like yow ad lib, and it sounds like exactly like it sounds like Sway Lee, and because of the context, I always thought when I first started listening to it, I thought it was
Sway Lee.
I thought it was a Ray Shremmer like feature, but listening back to the old stuff, I just figured out that's what he always did that. So that's like not like. I even thought it was like a Mike Will drop at first too.
No, I didn't notice that. I'll have to.
Yeah, but even on this, like I feel like sometimes it's like, oh, now he sounds like sometimes on the same songs he'll sound like a different person. Did you ever feel that way, or no? Or is that just me?
Actually, you know what? I think he did that in. Oh, I can't remember what song it was, but I did think it was a feature as well. Like it was kind of like a. It's like he almost goes in between like his normal like kind of gruff lower voice, and there was like almost a point where his voice sounded kind of nasally as well, and that might be this thing you're talking about. But it sounded way different, and I feel like he does that quite a few times. But for the most part, he kind of sticks to that, like, you know, it's not like so much that it's unenthusiastic, but it's not like completely him mumbling either.
Yeah.
It's almost like reminiscent of T.I. in certain respects.
Yeah. But yeah, like especially like the first few listens, like this is like a really good listen. It's just interesting conceptually that like Mike Will would bring this guy on like to do this. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention when we were talking about the skits is like one of the last ones. I think it's 14. It's track 14. Crew, like it's between Crew and Time After Time. Mike Will is on the phone talking to him, and when it's ringing, he's like, it takes like 5 or 7 rings for him to pick up the phone. Then he starts talking, and then while he's talking, he's like, Trouble, I'm the 404 number that's calling you. I don't even know if he calls him Trouble, but the Mike Will...
He says Trub. I think he says Trub.
He says Trub, okay. Because it'd probably be pretty silly if people called him Trouble, but anyway. But while he's talking, the Mike Will, like the ear drummer drop is heard. And it's kind of like, in my mind, like that's not part of the song. Like it's part of the voicemail. Like whenever, like probably in real life when he's talking or he calls people, like he just plays the drop too.
Like he just has like a sampler, like a pad ready to go. He just hits it.
Yeah, or maybe he has like an assistant, and just
he has the rap soundboard open. He just clicks it.
When he comes into a room, it's just like ear drummers. Yeah. So anyway, we don't know what I'm free next weekend, so let's do something next weekend. Yeah.
I'll look at the release schedule and see what we can trash next weekend.
Yes.
I was gonna say we should discuss the new Thugger release, but it's only 3 songs, and I feel like that will have been done to death by the time we reconvene.
Yeah, I liked it. I liked the
Lil Uzi Vert track.
Yes, the Lil Uzi Vert one was I liked. And then I liked. I think the first one I liked the best for Young Thug, but I didn't like the feature on that one. But it was pretty good. I like Young Thug lately.
Yeah, the Nicki Minaj feature was like kind of like whatever, because like she had dropped those 2 new tracks last week, and Barbie Tings like was really good. Like I like her a lot more when she just raps as opposed to like embracing her pop side like she would like on Super Bass or something like that. But
yeah.
Overall, yeah, the Thugger's been doing some interesting things lately. Like the track he did with A-Track at 24 Hours was like probably my most favorite recent Thugger material outside of like a few tracks off Beautiful Thugger Girls.
Yeah, I was like down on Thugger for a while, but I'm back on the train.
It's kind of hard to, especially like on the drive back from Phoenix, I listened to the tour part 1, and I was just like, oh, this is great. Like, why couldn't the Future record be like this?
Mm-hmm.
You know.
So yeah, subscribe on Apple Podcasts if you like this. Follow us on Twitter. I'll put the handles in the description. And check out this. And if you haven't listened to the Trouble thing, I would check it out. It's a good album. All right, we'll see you next week. Peace. Au revoir. Did you say peace?
Sure. Let me stop recording.